Fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live to discuss Derrick James and his dream team. When you guys come in, hit that like button. We have St. Don in the building. There will be less belts among them come Saturday night. Ouch. Joe Blow, he's got Errol Spence. Don't know about the other two. um, Spence gonna beat the stuffing out of Dud. Juice fans still hate Spence, although Juice has the same trainer. They do? Yeah, we'll talk about that. Rod, dream team after Spence gets his L. Oh, so we have a lot to discuss, man. Um, you ask yourself what really happens with these guys come Saturday night, and I think Skrilla 50 in the building. What's up, brother? I think this is what happens. Okay. I think if anything, Derrick James, he's riding on all of his fighters winning, like any trainer would. And I think a lot of pressure is on him, and I think that's one of the reasons for uh, Derrick James to come out of character. Now, to be honest, okay, I think Derrick James and Bomac, they've been beefing for a long time, and I think between Bomac and Derrick James, I think they have become one of the people or the entities that would like more than anything to see their fighters win. I think, they're looking more at it because of their own reputation. You know, one more day and the saga is over. We will finally see them in the ring and no more hypothetical nonsense of resumes of power, speed, or difference. Smells like OTR. Well, I think what it is, I think that's not the case. If it's a very good fight, if it's like a Canelo and Golovkin or, any other classic fight, you want to see the shit again, especially if it does big numbers. If it does big numbers and people stop the bullshit, get their head out of their ass, stop stealing fucking fights, bullshit, fuck the fire stick, and all that, because a lot of people I notice that are Spence fans, a lot of Deontay Wilder fans, they talk a bunch of shit, but when it's time to put it into action, they're not willing to back it up at all. What they do is they talk about their fighter and support their fighter and threaten a lot of people and talk a lot of shit and leave a lot of comments, but then they're not even the ones watching the fight. So they're not even watching the fight. They're not even promoting them. They're promoting the fight, but they're not even buying it. So if the Spence fans care for Spence, if the Crawford fans care for Crawford, they would buy the fight to support the fighters. So let that be known. And I think people need to understand that. You know, yo, Kurt, can't wait for this fight. Damn, yeah, man, I can't either. I just done two videos back to back on this shit, so we're gonna be covering that on the way up. You guys do know, so you guys do know. I mean, I was gonna make another video, but screw it. Terrence Crawford came in at 146.8, I believe. Okay, and this is the unofficial because they did it behind closed doors first. Maybe they were worried about making the weight, but let's see. Yeah. Spence just weighed in at 147 pounds. Terrence Crawford came in at 146.8. Yeah. And the official weigh-in was held behind closed doors not long ago at the MGM Grand. The ceremonial weigh-in, which is scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the T-Mobile Arena, is open to the public. So they made sure a fight to this magnitude is going to happen. So it's going to happen. 146.8. That's Terrence Crawford. 147. That's Errol Spence. There you go. So all this shit about him weight drain, can he make weight? Because I seen, I think Blue Blood had he's on live probably right now, saying that, oh yeah, man, making weight or whatever, but he's made weight. So that's done. So we have a fight, okay? And back to Derrick James, I think his stable is just as good as his stable, and Errol Spence is, no doubt, he's the biggest commodity on that stable. When you guys come in, hit the like button. Uh, I think Errol Spence is the guy. He still has Jermell Charlo, and Jermell Charlo has taken an L before, but he has redeemed himself before, and we finally get to see a fight that we should have seen a long time ago, but we didn't see it. Oh well. You know what I mean? We're seeing it now. I don't really harp on that too much because the fight's made. And the biggest talking point for the last 3 years was the fact that these guys haven't fought, and why haven't the fight been made, and who's ducking who's scared of who wants this, who wants that, who's pricing themselves out, who's not pricing themselves out. So that was the big thing. Now we get to talk about the fun shit, the fight. And the fighter, Errol Spence, is a part of an elite crew, the dream team. The dream team of fighters that he has. He got Anthony Joshua in there. He got Ryan Garcia. He has Frank Martin. He has Jermell Charlo. And the good thing is, he said, I don't want any more fighters, which is smart. I mean, I don't think that a trainer should take on more than he can take on in a given day. If you find yourself having to take on assistant trainers or hiring assistant trainers to help you with fighters that that you need hands-on with, because it's things that only you feel you can do instead of anyone else, because you're not sure if that any person or that other person is going to do what you're going to do. I think you shouldn't take them on. And so fair play to Derrick James. And Derrick James mentioned that in the final presser yesterday, because he was like, yeah, you need 3 assistant trainers to help, because your big ass ain't big. You too fat to really handle the physical job to be a trainer. And he talked about Cheetos and shit like that. I could have sworn he said Snickers, right? But, if Dud is so great, why don't Juice hire Big Cheeto Man instead of Derrick James? I don't know. I don't even know if he went with him or not. I'm not sure. I don't know why Anthony Joshua got with Derrick James, to be honest. I know he's the fighter of the year. Maybe it was just the accolades by themselves. Maybe it was the way Errol Spence fights. You know what I'm saying? Because behind, most great fighters or good fighters is a good trainer that's aiding them and assisting them. So maybe that's the reason. Scans brands. Edward Morris, Terrence Crawford boxing style is like enter the 36 chambers, many levels. Errol Spence is the drunken master. Yeah, that was a cheap shot because he was drunk driving. Yeah, I guess. Derrick James surprises me how easy he's triggered and provoked, and resorting to a waste of time stuff like fat jokes. Well, Ryan, to be fair, Terrence Crawford got triggered as well. So he lost his cool, and Derrick James lost his cool. But those two guys lost their cool together at one point, because they were like in behind the scenes, and I didn't see it until I think the 24/7, the first episode. So, you know what? And I'm gonna watch all those tonight. Fuck it, just watch them all tonight and go back to back and just watch it and kind of enjoy it and just take everything in, because I love those all access, because 24/7 on HBO gave birth to all access. Because when Money Mayweather came to Showtime, he knew he had to have some type of show like that, and there you go, all access, which is good. Because they already had, a good foundation from 24/7, so they knew how to do it and what they wanted to display, behind the scenes wise for both fighters. Come on, Deville. Dud fans don't buy fights. Guy lost Aram so much money he could have bought a nice house in Beverly Hills. Yeah, that's Bob Aram, and you know why he left Bob because Bob was talking shit like that. So Bob mad because he had to pay Bud. You can't be mad at Bud for that. I don't know why you're hating on Bud because he was with Bob or is he without Bob? Because when he was with Bob, people hated him. Now he's without Bob, people still hate him. So I really don't understand what the animosity is. The only problem I had with Errol Spence is the fact that the fight couldn't get made because the fight wasn't allowed to get made until Errol Spence was like, no, I want this fight here. But he could have done that shit years ago, to be fair. So, Dream Team, D. James got AJ, a 12-round points win versus Franklin. Ryan Watterson. You be hyping it to the max. Yeah, man. Look, I'm excited about this shit, man. I really am because it's just like, look, yeah, dude. I remember being this hype for De La Hoya and Trinidad. De La Hoya Mosley was good, very good. Then they fought a couple years later. No, they fought 3 years later because he fought the first time in the summer of 2000. Then they fought again in 2023. And I was hyped for both fights. The Trinidad fights, when Trinidad fought Vargas in 2000. When Marco Antonio Barrera fought Morales in 2000. 2000, bro, was a hell of a year in fighting and for fighting. How did Bomac get so big as a boxing trainer? Does he have a medical condition? Isaac, I don't know. That's a good question. I was thinking that the other day, like, okay, what's going on with that? Like, what's happening? Like, you would think you would lose weight training, but maybe he does have a thyroid problem or something. But then again, a lot of that shit, man, I doubt that's water retention. That motherfucker eats a lot. He has an eating disorder. He has the Andy Ruiz ×2 eating disorder. So, love Kurt. Hope you're good, bro. Enough love. Arizona, much love back to you, my brother. Ryan Watterson. Oh wow, the weigh-in has been just ceremonials to come. Yeah. We're not seeing that shit live because I think they wanted to make sure that both men were ready because I don't know why they did it. It was smart, because you want to make sure both guys make weight because if they don't make weight, there's no fight. Then a lot of shit has to happen if that's the case, and you don't want that because this is an undisputed fight. They want to make sure each and every guy is ready. Spence had to give his left arm and a coin toss to get Dud in the ring. No, I don't think that. I think that he needed to respect Bud for what Bud did. If Bud's a pound for pound fighter coming from another weight class, and just because he's not in the same promotional company or outfit, that doesn't mean you should hang him out to dry just because he's with Top Rank. We've seen those guys fight the same opponents, and we've seen Bud do a better job with them. Now, the excuse would be, oh, well, Errol fought him first. That type of shit. He ain't the same fighter, or he's not, the fighter ain't the same because Errol fought him, and Errol beat him down. He took so much punishment, Sean Porter did from Errol Spence, that he wasn't worth the shit by the time he fought Terrence Crawford. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. Well, why did he do so well against Terrence Crawford? Did he look like shit against Terrence Crawford? No, he looked very good until he got caught. And then when he got caught, Terrence does what he does because he's a beautiful finisher. He finished Sean Porter, and he would have finished Sean Porter. That would have really been embarrassing. So Kenny Porter the father of Sean did Sean a favor by taking him away from an embarrassing situation. You have to understand, you had ESPN fighters there, ESPN commentary there, Showtime fighters there, PBC, and commentators as well. So you had a lot of people involved and a lot of people there, and it reflected the stable, and they didn't want that. So Kenny came in there and fuck this. He ain't gonna win this fight anyway with 2 knockdowns. He ain't gonna knock out Terrence if he ain't done it already. That ain't gonna happen. And I never seen him like that. Big Cheeto man. Dud Camp been making personal attacks on Spence for years. Only haters think it's one-sided insults from Team Spence. Oh yeah, Bomac been talking shit. That's what Bomac does though. Bomac talk shit. Yeah. He's a big ass fat shit talking guy. Probably know how to shit some bricks. Let me stop. Spence was content with going to raise chickens instead of fighting Crawford. Spence heard the fans talking and the public turning against him, so Spence's feet were held to the fire. Skrilla 50. It might have had something to do with that. Obviously, Errol Spence got tired of people talking about Crawford. But I don't think Errol had a choice in the matter a lot of times. You know what I mean? I don't think he did. I don't think that Errol could do what he wanted to do. I don't think he really was his own boss. I think it was strategic for him to fight Terrence Crawford now if it was going to happen, but that was only if Terrence Crawford was a free agent. And that's what really happened. But they did try to bullshit Terrence Crawford in that first deal because they've been working on a deal all that time last year, and then he said, fuck it, I'm fighting David Avanesian. But they did that, and he thought he was going to fight Errol Spence late last year, and it didn't happen. So a lot of that was due to Al Heyman wanting it a certain time, Al Heyman not wanting it money coming from other people because he wanted full control. That's Al Heyman, man. Al Heyman, shit, that's the father, the unofficial father of Floyd Money Mayweather. How can I get one of those shirts, Kurt? Call Young, inbox me, Instagram. Not Facebook, Instagram, because I don't get them. Smells like OTR. Why are they fat shaming Bomac? Not. A stand-up guy you are, Kurt. Keep it 100. Steve Donor. Absolutely. This is the bout of the decade. De La Hoya versus Mosley. Yeah, that was big, bro. De La Hoya versus Mosley was good. Both fights. Man, I remember in the 12th round, Mosley hit De La Hoya with a shot, dude. And it made De La Hoya bite down on his shield, but then fucking just drool came out. Like, it was just this massive little fountain of fucking drool that because, see, Sugar Shane was so fast that, he could pop off an overhand right on De La Hoya. And De La Hoya used to kind of fight crouched over. And that punch was there all night. And when he just started, bah, bah, you know what I mean? It just coming in and just over the top with it. And when he would throw it, he'd catch De La Hoya and catch him, and he hit him in that 12th round, and just drool just started flowing from this dude's mouth. I'm like, oh. And my girl at the time was like, ugh, that's nasty. Girl makes fun of Spence car crash but crying about fat shaming Bomac. Yeah, that's shitty. Because there's nothing funny about any of it. There's definitely nothing funny about that car wreck. And in fact, Errol Spence is a milagro. He's a miracle. That man he's supposed to be hopefully the best thing he could do is feeding his chickens and shit on the farm. Because fighting shouldn't really be an option realistically for a guy that had a wreck like that. So you have to look at that. But understand this though. There were many different emotions with Errol Spence. Okay, it wasn't that he was out because he went from I'm a savage to, man, I don't know if I can take this shit no more. I'm just sad, and you know what I mean. He was like, oh, okay, what is all this array of emotions coming from? You can't take pound for pound accolades to the bank. Well, you can't. No, you can't. But he could take them checks that Bob Arum gave him to the bank. You sure can, and he sure did. Then Bob was the only one butt hurt. Take your thumb out of your ass, Bob. You the one fucking signed that. If you didn't like it, you should have promoted better. Done more with him. Done some of that Lomachenko shit. Lomachenko is the best fighter on this century. You know what I'm saying? But then he had undefeated Terrence Crawford mopping everybody. And he didn't have the same energy. You know? Anyone with any brain knows it was Spence holding up the fight. Well, I believe it was Spence's side. And I think they knew what was asked from Team Crawford, and they didn't want to do that. And they didn't want to do that because they didn't want Errol Spence to fight that guy before fighting the guys in that stable. Which, if you were an advisor, I mean, you couldn't really blame, you know, could you really blame Al Heyman for doing that? That's why, but see, understand, it wasn't Al Heyman ultimately that ever wanted this fight. I think he just allowed it because he knew that Errol Spence had done enough in that stable to warrant that fight. Like, you can't push me or make me fucking fight Keith Thurman when I've already beat Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Yordenis Ugas, Kell Brook. I've already done that. So you're going to do something for me. Okay? Because he knows what happened, bro. He knows. And eating 10,000 calories a day is your own fault. I can wait until Spence breaks this guy's face. Haters are going to be crying. Well, I think Scance Rants, that is your desire. You know, if it happens, we'll see. You know, I don't know what'll happen. I just think with the skill set, it's a fight that you still want to see because guess what? You guys that are Errol Spence fanboys, all you Terrence Crawford fanboys, you have to remember something very important about both fighters. Both fighters are coming to win. Both fighters are undefeated. Both fighters are champions. Both fighters don't know defeat. Both fighters are putting it all on the line to see who's the best. And if you think Terrence Crawford is just this ordinary guy that's too small for Errol Spence, then that's your desire. Because we don't know that to be true yet. Because the motherfuckers ain't fought. This would be different if they did fight and this is the rematch. And then, then you could speculate and do all this, that, and the other based on what's already happened. But, for everyone that just thinks Errol Spence is going to lay down, when have you heard or seen Errol Spence lay down? I've seen him hurt before. I've seen Terrence Crawford hurt before. These guys ain't fucking invincible. So that's what you should all realize. And the pressure is on the guys that prepare these fighters as well as the fighters themselves. The knockdown was the only reason Spence beat Porter. Porter was beating Spence. Well, it was a split decision. And I think that knockdown, that flash knockdown, had a lot to do with it. And that's not being biased. That's calling it how it is. Not how I see it, how it is. Because of the scorecards, because of the fight itself, Sean Porter and Errol Spence fought their heart out. I remember when the fight happened. I didn't do it live because I had to work that night. And that's when I still had a 9 to 5. And I was watching Showbiz The Adults breakdown. And they were just going back and forth. And when I saw the fight, I was like, oh shit, this was a real fight. And that that hook caught him, that right hook, bah! And he caught him. It was a good shot, and but it was almost like if Sean Porter's knee wouldn't have hit the ground, what type of fight would have been? Would have been a draw? You know what I mean? Because it takes a point away. You got to take that point away. Or 2 points for the knockdown, right? So Yeah, and it was still a split decision. That just shows you, yes, yes, Sean Porter was doing very well, but I've never seen Sean Porter do or have a shitty fight. He's always been that same aggressive, running back in your face, come and get you type of fighter. Now, if I'm lying, tell me I'm lying. Man, if did want Man, if did wanted to fight, he wouldn't have resigned with Top Rank. Guy started at Top Rank to hide from PBC fighters. Man, if you really, but you really believe that shit, you think that fucking arrows, you think that Terrence Crawford signed with Top Rank to avoid PBC fighters. You really believe that shit. I want to know if you really believe that, or you heard what someone said and you believe what they said, and you believe that shit by that point. Because if that's the case, why the fuck is he fighting Errol Spence now? You know what I mean? Well, if that's the case, why did he fight and defeat Sean Porter? Like I'm not really understanding your argument because it's just holes in the shit. It's just like some shit somebody that follows like LDBC channels and just believes. It's like you're sitting up in church and let's say you're a Pentecostal, so you can believe in speaking in tongues, versus going to a 7 Day Adventist church when they don't believe in that shit at all, and you better show up on Saturday. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you've went to a church and then you're uttering these doctrines that you heard from the church you go to. But there's many churches, and there's many truths. And I don't think that's the truth at all because, again, Terrence Crawford, I don't think he ran for anybody. I think he went with Bob Arum because Bob Arum gave him an opportunity, uh, offered him, presented him a contract for like 3 or 4 million a fight, guaranteed, and he fucking took it. That's business. And what we did find out between 2020, 2021, and 22, we found out with Al Heyman that a lot of his fighters weren't getting paid the right way or on fucking time. Now, that's not something that Kurt DeVille made the fuck up. That's something that was documented and said by the fighters of Al Heyman. Deontay Wilder was the latest person to come out with it that I know about. We need to start getting paid on time. Notice he said we need to. He didn't say they need to, except for me. We need to get paid on time, Al Heyman. We need to figure that out. Because I know what Al does. Al is being a good guy to his fighters. He's like the commandant. He's the best friend. He's that negotiating guy that runs shit behind the scenes and he shuts his fighters up by giving them advances. I know exactly what happens. I know what goes on. So in that sense, just like uh, Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner broke it down. And he broke it down how Al Heyman would pay him. Al Heyman would pay him by day, give him daily advances. You'd give him like, 25,000 this day, and then 10,000 this day, then 25,000 another day, then 20,000 this day. You know what I mean? And he was breaking him off. And then, Adrian Broner was cool with that. You know why he was cool with it? Because he was fucking irresponsible. Adrian Broner was fucking responsible with his money, and he knew that if it wasn't for Al Heyman giving him money like that, just pinching it off, he wouldn't have anything because he would blow it all if he had it all. So if you are watching this, TNT Sports, get Kurt on a panel on TNT Sports. Kurt speaks objectively and has knowledge. Get up. Steve Donor, appreciate you, brother. Thank Al Heyman DeVille. Thank Al Heyman. Well, Al Heyman had to allow it. Quad Life, what's up, brother? CP to you. Punch stats, 12 rounds, 45, Mosley, 18, De La Hoya, hell of a fight. Yeah, Scantz Ranks, it was a hell of a fight, bro. But you know what, though? if you start shredding away shit like that, and you look at those two fighters, Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane Mosley was always better than Oscar De La Hoya. He was older and he was better. So, okay, De La Hoya just turned 50. Let's look. De La Hoya, I mean, Mosley, I think it's like 53. And these are all welterweights, man. So this is definitely appropriate. A lot of people, oh, we're talking about Mosley. Because he's a fucking welterweight boxer and one of the best lightweights of all. See, he's 51, but he will be in September on the 7th, 52. So, yeah, he's about right at 2 years older than De La Hoya, but he was always better. Okay, Bud got a shot in the head. They both had adversity. Smells like OTR. Yeah. And that's something that people need to remember or know. Bud Crawford got shot in the face, and not in the face, but in the head. You know what I mean? He could have been one of those guys that once was upon a time, man, that dude was badass. You remember that dude from Nebraska? Oh, I bet you if he was around now, he would have been cold. What happened to him, man? He got shot in the head at the crap game. Yeah, shit like that happens. Spence is an urban legend after the wreck. Guy is a myth. Did Spence cross the T's and dot the I's by sparring both orthodox and southpaw fighters? Ed, that's a very good question, and we'll find out tomorrow, Ed. You know what I mean? Spence shouldn't have to overpay Dud for Dud's bad business decision staying with Bob. No, Scance Ranch, you think it was Bud having bad decisions to stay with Bob where he was getting paid a lot of money to the point Bob was complaining about getting paid? Okay, that's like you work for a company and you sign a contract with the company and the CEO of the company is complaining about paying you too much money. Do you think that's a bad business decision for you? You think that's bad business for you? Maybe for them. And a lot of times that happens, and a lot of times the corporations try to get you out of there. Psycho Crusher, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Skrill the 50. In the building, it's just Errol couldn't hurt Mikey. Well, Mikey going up to fight at welterweight was a mistake. It was a waste of fucking time. But Mikey chose it. Errol knew Mikey's gonna bring the Chicanos out, the Mexican fans out. So he knew, yeah, I'm gonna fight his ass and I'm gonna beat the shit out of him too. He's just too little. He ain't gonna whoop me. And he didn't. Mikey Garcia, you're not gonna judge or fault the smaller guy for fighting the bigger guy. You know what I mean? But, I call him the Mighty Badger. But see, there's contradicting statements with Errol Spence. Errol Spence first said that he didn't try to knock out Mikey Garcia. Then in another interview, he said he tried to. So it's like, okay, which one is it? Now, I do give Errol Spence credit. I remember when Sean Porter was talking about that, and Errol was like, hey, people don't even think you beat Ugas. I think Ugas beat your ass. You gotta fight him. Heavyweight cuts make you more vulnerable to KO from depleting spinal and brain fluids. That's interesting. Definitely makes you weaker. Yeah. Porter was missing Spence a lot. Yeah, he was throwing a lot of shots. But then, he was landing a lot of shots too. Okay. Porter, my guy. The man is a warrior. Yeah, I like Sean Porter. I always have. Oh, because he's cashing out. Well, if he beats... Listen, Scance Rants, I respect you, right? But I know you'd be trolling. And I'll say this. You need to come. Because, we already know. I've already promised you, if Deontay Wilder knocks out Anthony Joshua, you can come on and talk shit. All right? But something you got to do for me. Terrence Crawford beats Errol Spence. If he beats Errol Spence, you have to donate $100 to the channel and give your props in that donation on how you underestimated Terrence Crawford. Do we got a deal? Do we got a deal? Do we got a deal? And we got a deal. Top Rank made up the wrong side of the street exhibit Pacquiao resume. Well, the first time I heard about wrong side of the street was Errol Spence. Errol Spence mentioned that shit when he was on that yak. You know what? I don't even know if he was on that yak. You know what? Errol Spence could have just been high. He could have just been smoking bud. And I don't mean Bud Crawford. Right? Okay, deal. You know, but that's good. That shows confidence of your fighter that you support. Because I support both fighters. You know, but I'm not gonna dog Spence just to make Terrence Crawford look good. You know, I'm not gonna do that because I remember Errol Spence, man, when I found out wreck. I was in Washington, D.C. I'll never forget this, man. I was in Virginia because I was working on this show called Swagger. And I'm getting like chill bumps and shit, goosebumps thinking about that shit. And then it's just like, when I saw that car, I'm like, man, that motherfucker dead. He's gonna die. If he's in the hospital there, he's gonna die later on with injuries. He's gonna be paralyzed. He'll be really fucked up. And then I just really started feeling bad because the first thought that entered my mind, it was a selfish one. It's like, damn, we'll never see that fight now. Then I had to check myself, like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? This motherfucker is worried about living or dying or walking or being properly, you know what I mean, living a normal life with his family. You know, he has 2 beautiful little girls and shit like that. And you know what I mean? And like, you're talking about a fucking fight, bro. You should be worried about him as a person, as a father, as a son, you know, as a friend of whoever, right? Just saying hello, Kurt. Been a long time since I've entered the chat, but I'm excited for tomorrow. 100% can't wait. Jordan Benson, absolutely, brother. Welcome back. Vincent N. Guys, do you think Cruz and Donaire will win? I got them by decision on my belts. Okay. If Spence can go through those surgeries and Rex and beat the number 1 pound for pound, he's the greatest. He's the greatest of this time. And see, I don't have any misillusions on anything. Errol Spence is 33. He turned 33 back in March. He can fight for a couple more years. He can get bigger fights, you know what I mean? Because he's a big welterweight. We've heard Errol Spence make public statements that he'll stop Canelo, he'll stop Golovkin, you know, and those guys were at 160 pounds. So chances are, if he beats Terrence Crawford, more than likely it will be a Canelo fight because Canelo is signed with PBC. Al Heyman has came up like a motherfucker and made a power rook takes knight type move, okay, on the boxing chess table. And that chessboard is advantage Heyman. But he's younger and those fights could happen versus Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is 35. And he started his career at a younger or smaller weight class while he was younger. So, Cruz by KO, I don't know. Cruz ain't a knockout artist. And Cabrera, the bigger man, but damn, you're making me think twice. Team Spence made it impossible, but this guy Dud needs a fucking coin flip to make the fight. And Nui's explosiveness seems not natural, is it? Well, this is what I won't do about Inui. Uh, I won't say he's on shit just because he beat a black fighter. That's what you're hearing now. I'm sick of hearing that shit. We heard of that shit for the last 3 years, and Tyson Fury went out there and did the same shit he did, but worse because it lasted longer. There was nobody that stopped the fight. There wasn't anybody that forfeited that threw in the towel or any shit like that. And Wilder got knocked the fuck out. And after that though, we still heard fucking excuses. So I'm not gonna start making them for a Nui, and it's like, dude, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, let's get off that shit. That's just as bad as Larry Merchant. This motherfucker was all happy because Tyson Fury beat Wilder, and I'm like, you're not even British. Oh, you're a white guy and he's white. Is that the fuck why? You have nothing in common with this fucking guy besides the color of your skin. You're not from the same place. You probably don't even think the same. You don't do the same shit. It's just so stupid. And it was like, okay, I see. But it was eye-opening to me because all those years I watched HBO Sports and thought Larry Merchant was just giving these fighters a bad time or a hard time, these black and brown fighters. And then all of a sudden, I get it. He was a fucking Klansman. You just had a fucking microphone. You're a Klansman with a microphone because you was happy that Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder for that reason. He didn't even try to disguise it as, oh, well, I'm just glad the boxer won. You know what I mean? Instead of the guy that couldn't box. Okay, that could have made sense. No, he was, I'm just enjoying this. The fucking chimp. I'm enjoying this moment. Because these white fighters we haven't had that in a long time. Motherfucker, who cares? Oh, you do. Okay, moving on. Imagine Wilder with one belt asking Juice with 3 belts for a coin toss to make the fight. PBC haters would have went crazy. Wilder and Joshua. Wilder agreed to $15 million at one point, but he wanted a rematch clause. But they didn't want to give him a rematch clause. But it wasn't in the original rematch clause contract, but then he agreed to it. But then they said he didn't agree to it. Or they said they didn't agree to it, which they said earlier they did agree to it. The $50 million, we know how that shit went. There was claims that there wasn't a contract. So if there wasn't a contract, meaning it wasn't real, shit like that. So, I mean, you look back at that now, there were talking points back then, but now they're just kind of played out because, see, now we have another fight. If Joshua can knock out White, bars, we will see Deontay Wilder fight Anthony Joshua because I don't even think Wilder will fight. I think Wilder will just say, fuck it, I'm waiting for that Joshua money. He's not putting anything to chance or leaving anything to chance. He's not taking nothing for granted or no fighter. And how do you ensure that? You don't fight anyone. You just stay in shape, keep eating this gourmet meals with his mouth open and shit in Atlanta, and keep the weight down. Don't gain weight because when Wilder gains weight, it gets slower and it affects his stamina. And we don't need another Tyson Fury 2 and 3. We want Wilder at the best. So there's no excuses because we've heard enough of all excuses from all of these fighters, including him. So we need Wilder to be exactly where Wilder needs to be. But I don't think he takes another fight until the Joshua fight because I think he's already signed on. So if you're getting $50 million or whatever the fuck he's getting at the end of the year, and you got about 20, 30 million in the bank already possibly or whatever, you're good if you're Deontay Wilder. And for that reason, I can understand it. You're just not taking anything for chance and you're not taking any fucking chances. I understand, but what will it help him with? I mean, Wilder don't give a shit. He's worried about one punch. But that's Wilder. Because Wilder believes in it. He believes that if he lands that punch, he can knock him out. And, like he says, speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. To this day, people can get the I'm going to stop Canelo now that he's been a pro for 17 years. Canelo hasn't even been knocked down up to this point. He has a chin made of granite. Skrilla 50. I don't think the idea is to knock Canelo out. I think the idea is to beat Canelo up because I think Bivol had the right idea. You want to see what'll happen if Pacquiao fought Canelo in his prime? You probably would have seen a fight similar to when Bivol fought him because Pacquiao would have fought Canelo like that, just threw a lot of shots, exploited the openings, try not to get countered because Canelo is one hell of a counter puncher, and just lay on the leather, lay the leather on, lay it on thick. I had a Nui by KO, who is cool, boy. There you go, at least, when you come with substance instead of biased, you're gonna win, and I'm gonna respect it. Dud aged himself out. I don't think Terrence Crawford looks bad at all. You know what I mean? Because you have to remember something. Shit, Floyd was a year older than Terrence Crawford is when he fought Canelo, and that was 10 years ago. That was 10 fucking years ago. That was in 2013, the one. You guys remember that? And Floyd was 36. Canelo was 22 or 23. Okay. Floyd said, he could be my son. I could have had him. I could have shot him out my sack. No wonder he rich. No wonder he rich. Did Tank have an injured hand? And it's not like Cruz knocked him out or down. Yeah, he did have injury. You can just tell how he was fighting. Like I don't buy into that, bro. Cruz is okay. Cruz was a tough Mexican fighter. He fights. His style is appealing to the fans. But did he beat Tank Davis? No. He was just a very good stand-in fighter. He did a lot better than a fighter would do in a stand-in or, a last-minute replacement. Okay, so we have to, like Pitbull Cruz, I look at him, he beat the shit out of Gamboa. And it's like, okay, who's not going to beat Gamboa at this point? You know what I mean? Like, who's not going to beat him at this point? Gamboa's doing that shit for checks because, he spent his 7 years here or longer, rather. But, in Cuba, if you guys don't know the law in Cuba is when you defect from Cuba, you have to stay gone 7 years with whatever green card that you have from somewhere else. So, I don't know, I want to say Cambosos, but Gamboa knew that, he could just go home because there ain't nowhere like home. And he got money now. So, nobody can tell him shit. He's going to, look, Gamboa can live there forever in a big, stupid ass house doing whatever he wants. Yeah. And he's just getting those big ass checks because he knows he doesn't have to live in Miami with those that high ass mortgage with $10,000 a month or some shit mortgage, and you got to stay in that little ass. No, you're in Coconut Grove and shit, and you're making money, but your money is dispersing because it's so high. You know what I mean? So I won't believe it until they make weight, or better yet, make the walk. Watsy, they've already made weight, so make the walk, I guess. Wilder do chew with his mouth open. Yeah, that shit down. Yeah. I'm like, damn, dog. Ugh, yeah. Stop. But who's gonna tell Deontay Wilder to stop, right? You think any of his entourage like, man, close your fucking mouth, dude. You know what I mean? Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Afternoon, Kurt. Counterpunch, my brother. Counterpunch to you, Marlon, in the building. was leaning Errol by the split decision for a long time, but now I think Crawford might edge it. Vincent in. You know, listen, you're supposed to switch. You're supposed to have doubt. You know why you're supposed to have doubt? Because this is a good fucking fight. You're supposed to be like, I don't know, man. I'm going with Errol this day. Because when I saw, well, like when I seen Errol and Terrence earlier, when they first made the first conference, I'm like, fuck, look at Errol. Errol looks big as shit. You're gonna beat the shit out of Terrence. You know what I mean? And like that mindset, like, dude, you gonna beat the shit out. That dude's fucking huge. And then that was my first mindset. And then then I had to like, okay, let me look at these guys fight. Let me put it in. You know what I mean? It took me a while to really see. You know what I mean? And again, it's not even anything against PBC, ESPN. It's just politics and people thereof didn't want fights to happen. You know, I think Andy Ruiz will fight Deontay Wilder after Anthony Joshua. For 41, it makes it more money because both of them will have something in common. They will each have a win against Joshua if Deontay wins. Well, that's true. That's true. But then again, I don't think it would be a reason for Wilder to fight Ruiz at that point. I think that would be the last fight he would fight, though. I don't think he would want to fight Andy Ruiz at all. Kurt, do a Holyfield impression on Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. So live. Well, I think that Errol Spence is a big fighter, and I think that he's the southpaw, and Terrence Crawford, he's a southpaw at times, but I think that he's the guy that he can really get in there and do his thing. But I think the body punching from Errol Spence would probably break down Terrence because Terrence is used to moving. And if he's used to moving, I think Errol Spence can get in there and work the body and slow him down. And then he can work upstairs with Terrence and probably take him out of here. That's what I think he's doing. Thought Gamboa was in the midst of a legal battle. He is. The motherfucker's in Cuba. He ran over a person. Slap over that motherfucker. Say he didn't see him. It's not funny. I mean, yeah, he did. He Jay Rodriguez, ¿cómo está? ¿Todo bien? Estoy bien, muy bien. Estoy en la biblioteca ahora. Hablamos para ustedes. Andy Ruiz is just not getting enough tacos unless Andy can get a belt. I agree, Kurt. He'd be lucky to get a fight with Deontay. Deontay already talking shit at him. You know, you're already talking shit at him. You know what I mean? Okay, think about it. All right. Wilder's already saying and promising, if you don't take this fight, Andy, nobody gonna hear from you again. You gonna be extinct. Nobody ain't gonna hear from you. Better take this fight, buddy. Take this fight, my man. You think Wilder, because you think about it, Wilder already, attempted to freeze out Joshua. You think he won't do that shit to Andy Ruiz? And he did that shit by fighting Tyson Fury. The shit blew up on him. Fighting fat ass Tyson and thought Tyson, that was going to be a person I ain't knocked out yet. You got lucky the first time. And then Tyson flipped it on him, beat the shit out of him. Fucking Tyson turned into the fucking Gypsy King, Get fucking big dogs up. I was like, damn. I'm like, Wilder getting this. And I was in shock. I'm like, fuck. I never forget this because I was actually on my way to DR. I was headed back to DR, and that was the day before we left. And it was just crazy. I was in shock. Juice literally said he would freeze Wilder out before the Parker fight. He did say that. Like, careful, like, because they wanted to get that fight done or whatever. He did say that. And then Wilder said that shit too. And he was like, okay, we're going to freeze you out, and I'm going to use Tyson Fury to do it. Kurt, the Bud versus Spence fight is 4 years too late, bro. No, it ain't. That motherfucker's happening tomorrow. Bob Arum gonna feel stupid if Bud becomes undisputed. Well, you know, you could hear him. I'm glad for Bud Crawford. I always thought he had it. And the fucking guy just can't sell. That's all it is. He's a hell of a fighter, but he has a personality of a fucking nutshell. That's all I can say about Terrence Crawford. AJ versus Fury will happen in December. That's the money fight. Yep. I mean, we could say that shit about that fight. They waited 4 or 5 years too soon. Yeah, they did actually. Should have happened. It should have happened when they were undisputed. And then, that's what it is. At the time, Joshua had more belts than Wilder, so it's no possible way that he could have froze him out. Well, I mean, they wanted that type of money that they wanted, and they knew Wilder wasn't at a place like that to demand that type of money. And they needed someone like Tyson Fury, someone that beat Klitschko, since they couldn't get the Klitschko fight because Shelly Finkel froze that fight out. Did you guys know that? Shelly Finkel froze out the idea or the possibility of Wilder fighting Klitschko. He managed them both. He did not want those guys to fight. That's the truth. Yeah, Porter falls under the category of washed up fighter current podcast who is retired. Yeah, that's the narrative that's everybody's throwing around. That's that boxing ego and whoever else shit. Maybe Fanon, The Manny Floyd fight was late despite the excuse from Manny's shoulder. Yeah, he had to lie on that shit. He threw that shit all day. My shoulder is my hurt shoulder. I hurt it in sparring and training, and that's the reason why I couldn't pull many punches. I think I still won the fight though. I'm like, wait a minute. You still think you won the fight, but that's why you lost, because, man, get the fuck out of here. Stop. So, Porter lost his biggest fight, or his biggest fights. I don't know. I mean, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. So it is what it is, pal. Big Kurt, Crawford wins by late stoppage. Muhammad Ali coming in with his prediction. My thing is, as long as it is a stoppage, I don't want to see a decision at all, because I don't want to hear the bullshit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to experience it. I don't want to go through any of that shit. I don't want to hear it, period. I don't, because, I mean, it's going to be something like that. Big Kurt, okay. Porter was a better fighter when he fought Spence. He currently admitted such. Well, he just said, I heard him say this. Spence was a lot better now than he was when he fought him. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what to really take about that, because if he's not fighting a better Spence than Crawford is, so what happens when Crawford beats him? Right, no excuses no matter which way the fight goes. No, don't give excuses. Then see what you're doing, Scance Ranch, you're just taking the credibility away from Errol Spence. If Errol Spence does win, you've talked all this shit on how it was. So the same thing that you're using in defense on why Terrence Crawford is not as good as people say he is, that's the same shit that people can use because you guys used it. Don't use anything. If anything, big him up. He is a good fighter. So when Errol Spence beats him, he will be that good of a guy. That resume will be, think about it. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Kell Brook, Terrence Crawford. Come on, man. You have to think about what you're saying, because you're trashing Terrence. It's like, oh, he's a dud. He ain't this and ain't that. That's just really hating on that guy. Bad sportsmanship, because when Errol beats him, you're going to give. that's just, you're going to give him credit when that happens. It don't matter how much Porter is diminished once Crawford beats Spence tomorrow. Well, I don't think Porter was diminished anyway because he didn't show me signs of being diminished. He just got in there with a bad motherfucker. That's it. That narrative is just to take the credibility away from Terrence because they don't want to give credit to Terrence because Terrence is not a fucking PBC fighter. Let me ask you something, Scance Rants. Let's be 100% honest before I jump off of here. If fucking Terrence Crawford was always with Al Heyman, would you be talking that way about Terrence Crawford? Would you be talking that way? Would you be saying that same shit about Terrence Crawford if he was always with PBC? I was suspect on Dud when he beat Ngannou. I'm like, yeah, that top ranked matchmaking. Well, Ngannou was undefeated when he beat him. So fuck, you know what I mean? Like, he beat the undefeated guy, because anybody could argue with you and then say, well, you know what? He's not the same type of dude. He's not the same fighter he used to be. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. Funny how Errol Spence said Terrence Crawford was wrong for getting mad at the people in the audience, but the day prior to that, Errol Spence got mad at the audience, was calling him goldfish. Yeah, he was getting mad. I ain't no gold. I'm tired of the goldfish shit. I'm tired of the goldfish shit. I mean, yeah, people are cutting weight. People get angry. If you had to ever make weight or shred, yeah, you're gonna get angry. You don't have the carbs, so you get grouchy, you get cranky. Nah, because if Crawford was always with AI, the haters wouldn't be hating so much on Spence. Well, no, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, would you be hating on fucking Terrence Crawford? Because see, Crawford, you're okay. You're lashing out at Crawford because people are talking about Spence. So fucking what? I don't. Are they really talking about Spence like that? I mean, I hear people talk about it, but I mean, I don't hear the hate like that. I don't hear them hate. They like, I'm. I don't know. I know Bomac talk shit. Bomac talk shit. Derrick talk shit towards Terrence Crawford. He's been talking shit for a long time. You know. Gono good got as good, got much losses as dumb. Sure, that guy was no good. Well, you can't say he was no good at the beginning. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin counterpunch to you, baby. It's Finkel with Deontay for Deontay to be sending money to contenders, although Ruiz is pig used to big money like Triple G. CP, we having a party after I whoop Crawford's. You invited too. I don't think I would. Why wouldn't I be invited? I'm supporting the fight. I'm supporting both fighters. Only reason people hate on Spence because he's with Al. But Al giving us the best fucking fights. Well, he ain't always gave us the best fights. You look at Floyd and Manny, that shit lingered for a long time. And it wasn't because of Al Heyman allowing that to happen. Uh-oh, Scans Ransom eyed Nikki Blue Eyes. Errol Spence, I put Mike Tyson in his place. Kind of. Mike was shit. Mike, come on, man. That's shit, man. That's bad sportsmanship, man. Would you ever tell you he was talking to Errol Spence's dad? Would you ever let Errol do that if he wasn't ready? No. There you go. Counterpunch. Al ain't giving us much of nothing. What? Put Mike in his place? No, he didn't. That's bullshit. Now, he addressed it. But he didn't put him in his place, man. But the dream team between Derrick James, Anthony Joshua, Errol Spence, Frank Martin, Ryan Garcia. I'm forgetting Ryan's name, bro. Ryan who? And who else is in there? I'm missing somebody. And Jermel Charlo. All those guys, they have something to prove. They're all in a stable. They kind of remind me of how Canelo used to be, with Eddie Reynoso, so, they have that new powerhouse stable of fighters. And we'll see how good they do. I'm really looking forward to seeing everything tomorrow. everything tomorrow. And I know it's gonna be a hell of an epilogue after this, bro. So it's gonna be a lot of content. Um, I was going to go live at 5, but I don't think I will. I may, but I don't know if I will. I don't know if I'll get home in time to do so. Wait, is it 4:37? It's 4:37. So, Kurt, what time in UK will the fight be on here? So if it's 7 o'clock, probably probably 3 in the morning. Probably 3 in the morning because it starts at 7, so that's 1 o'clock. So probably 3 or 4. And I'll bring the Thunderbird in the old man flask. Damn, man, chicken and Thunderbird, man, y'all look like y'all about to have a child. Eat some chicken and drink some Thunderbird. I mean, on an empty stomach, just chicken and whiskey, and you guys and each other. Oh man, you know, don't let it be no chemistry. All you need is whiskey. Bars. Riding the big fish. Pause. If the fight was 3 years ago, I'll choose Spence, but now I got Bud. Well, I don't know. I mean, because if you mean because Bud was younger, that means you have to count Errol is 3 years younger as well. But understand, 3 years ago, Errol was just getting off of that, Correct. And then Terrence even said it himself. I wouldn't want to fight Errol now because he just, if I beat him, then they're gonna say it's the fucking Rex fault. I didn't beat him, the Rex beat him, and I just came on and finished him off. Crawford been chasing East paycheck on Top Rank. We can't forget about that. He ain't chasing shit if he had a contract. They owed him that. It wasn't nothing he was chasing. So, guy, you got to get that right. You've been counterpunched. But you guys, thank you for coming on for this episode of The Dream Team, starring Derrick James, Errol Spence, Anthony Joshua, Jermell Charlo, Frank Martin, and Ryan Garcia. I will see you guys maybe here in an hour and a half, but if not, you got some more videos coming at you. I will be live definitely tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp. Be there or beware. Bars. Everybody, God bless you. See you guys tomorrow. And everyone has been Counterpunch. Peace.